OCO, dogs and hoes. We're just gonna hang out for a little bit, see if anybody comes in, see if anybody else gonna hang out. La di da di da. It's been a day. It's kind of a good news, bad news kind of day. And there's nobody here yet, so we're just hanging out and waiting. Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. Have you seen Dina's new little kitty cat? He's just the cutest little thing. I miss having kitties, especially the cute little kittens. Hey, Blakes. Not a lot. I mean, the usual shit that's wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess if we got one person, we can get going on this. Yes, I has a sads. I've been excited all day because Um, June 6th was supposed to be the premiere of the second season of Rutherford Falls on Peacock TV, and I was all excited, and I'm tuning into Peacock, and I can't find anything, and there's no reference to it, and I'm all upset, so I had to go and check. It premieres the 16th, not the 6th. So I got another 10 days to wait, and I'm not happy about it. I'm very, very sad. Other than that, I did not go to Snohomish because Ali would not reply to me as to what time he needed me to be there and how long I needed to be there. Because I've got those possums, I can't just go running off somewhere because they've got to be fed. But tomorrow, before I do my elder thing, I'm going to be taking them to a rehab center so they can be taught to be wild possums and grow up to be big wild possums and go out in the world and possum it up and have little baby possums of their own and all that sort of thing. And then I'm going to haul picky elders around and eventually get some grocery shopping done. So that clears my calendar for a little while, but I also got a call today from Olympia, and an orthopedic doctor called me to set up an appointment, so I'm pretty tickled about that. They set me up for the 16th, and I was just looking up the place online, and they've got a doctor that I have worked with before. He was the doctor who did my first spinal injection years ago that actually was, I mean, that shot lasted me for like 4 years. Not a single one since then has lasted that long. And so we're going to look into this radio frequency ablation, or possibly just another steroid injection in the spine, and discuss the surgical options, which I've already said, no fusion, none at all, not doing it. I've known at least a dozen people who have had the spinal fusions, and not a damn one have been helped by it. They've actually ended up in more pain. And as a matter of fact, one guy that I used to know, he had 10 surgeries on his spine, and it still didn't relieve any pain. So he had to have a narcotic pump actually implanted in his body to pump out regular measured doses of an opiate. So he couldn't even drive. And even that didn't help. He was still supplementing with pills. Illicitly ill-gotten pills, but, that's what this level of pain will do to you. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to all of that crap, so I don't have a lot of options. And then I've got another appointment with my doctor on the 27th. And then somewhere in there, we'll figure out when I go to Snohomish, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Other than that, been working on some candles. I've got some really weird wax here for some reason that like crystallizes. It looks like snowflakes or something in the glass jar and keeps getting bubbles in it. So I keep having to use the heat gun on the top to pop the bubbles and even out the tops and all that sort of thing. Oh yeah, Konjac. Yeah, okay, Konjac was the other. I was reading a article recently um, about this woman who ate these diet noodles that put her in the hospital. Doctors discovered that the undigested konjac noodles, aka shirataki, had formed a solid mass called a bezoar in her digestive tract. She had these things are banned in Australia. She bought several of them. She got a package of them off of Amazon called Better Than Pasta, and she downed 4 packages of them. The thing is, each one of those packages is like 3 servings. So she saw the low carbs and the low uh, calories and figured, like an idiot, she could gorge herself on them. Now, konjac, she states that it's an Asian tree. It's not an Asian tree. It is, well, if you know what calla lilies look like or Jack in the Pulpit, they're in the arum family, and it comes from the arum plant. And she's like, oh my God, it comes from the same plant that these sponges come from. Yeah, and loofah is technically an edible gourd when young, but when it's old and pithy, then it becomes your bath scrubby. So that's not even really, you know, a, you can't really, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's not the same thing. Konjac is the starch from the root. And it's been used for diet stuff for a long time. If you've ever seen those infomercials and shit for that product called Lipozene, which is a diet aid, no, calla lilies are not in the same family as nightshade, but they are still toxic for the most part. A lot of the arum family have calcium oxalates in them that can burn your throat and can make you sick, and I'm sure some of them probably can make you more than sick. But if you've ever seen those Lipozene commercials, what you're doing is you're paying a premium price for a fancy name that doesn't have the medical science behind it they claim it does, and all it is konjac root. And you can find konjac root also sold as glucomannan. Here, let me put that in here. If I learn to spell. And what it does is the starch forms a gel in your stomach to make you feel full so you don't eat as much. But what they don't tell you is once your digestive system starts to break that down and it starts to move into the gut, it's basically like heating up Jello. It basically becomes a liquid that treats your intestines like plumbing, and it just goes right through you. It's not pleasant. But these konjac noodles are bound together to make them into a pasta, and it doesn't break down as quickly as just straight konjac root. So it basically wasn't breaking down, and it clogged up her intestines, and she ended up having to have surgery. And that's why these noodles are banned in Australia, because it's happened to other people. And too many people are gluttons, and they say, oh, well, practically no calories, low carbs, I can eat all kinds of this shit. And they gorge themselves and then wonder why, Gee, your gut's obstructed. Hello. But and a bezoar doesn't have to be just like konjac noodles. It can be any bowel obstruction like that that's made of something like that. Like people who have different nervous conditions, such as pica, where they eat things like rocks or clay or hair from their head. If they're eating enough hair off their head, it can form a bezoar in their intestines that will require surgery to remove. Another example of a bezoar is your city streets sewage systems. You know, everybody's flushing grease down their drains, which they shouldn't do because their drains are going to be the first thing that's going to clog up. But enough grease from enough households mixes with all kinds of other matter that people stupidly flush down their toilets and everything, and it create this huge blob-like bezoar that can clog an entire sewer system. But Konjac is sold under a lot of different names. Lipozene weight loss class action reignites Konjac efficacy. Glucomannan, a super fiber for weight loss, and more. And there's nothing even close to the kind of medical science behind it that the people on the Lipozene commercials say there are. You know, like most of these kinds of supplements and shit, they stick some jackass in a lab coat and go, I'm a doctor and I say this stuff works real good. Matter of fact, there's been a new one on TikTok for some fizzy tablet you put in a shot glass of water and it's supposed to just melt the fat away. Bullshit. There are no magic cures. I mean, even surgery, stomach surgery, gastrointestinal surgery, that takes time and it takes a lot of willpower because there's a lot of things you cannot eat if you've had like the gastric band or any of that sort of stuff done because you're going to make yourself puke. Matter of fact, there's a drug for diabetes 2 that has been showing a great deal of promise for weight loss. But at the same time, if you eat too much, it'll make you puke. And for everybody, the amount that's going to make you sick is different. And people want to say, oh, well, konjac is all natural. Yeah, well, so is hemlock. Hey, Brandon. And you don't want to be going around eating hemlock. Look up Socrates. Matter of fact, they're not really sure exactly which form of hemlock Socrates drank. If it was common deadly hemlock or if it was water hemlock. But just because something's natural doesn't mean that it's not dangerous. There was a dude who loved apple seeds, so he saved up his apple seeds until he had a cupful, and he was eating them like popcorn while he watched TV one night, and his family found him dead the next morning because apple seeds have cyanide in them. Actually, they probably have prussic acid in them, which is turned into cyanide in the body. It's the same as with cherry pits, apricot pits, well, most stone fruit pits, or the leaves or the twigs of these plants. They all contain prussic acid. And the thing with apricot pits is people are using them to allegedly cure cancer. And it's called B17. But it's a cyanide glycoside that will kill you. Yes, Blake's cherries too, yeah. I mean, that's one of the more common ones is cherry pits, leaves, and twigs, but also any of the stone fruits, basically. And of course, makes you wonder about rose hips because cherries, Wait, are cherries in the same family as apples? Because apples, strawberries, and roses are all in the same family. They're all in the Rosaceae family. Let's look. Cherry taxonomy. Yep, they're in the Rosaceae family too. The 5 petals with the funky stamens in the middle. Most of those are Rosaceaes, which has nothing to do with the skin condition except, coloring. But yeah, just because something's natural doesn't mean it won't kill you. Bears are all natural. They'll kill you. They're not dogs, people. Don't go petting the bears. Cougars are not just big kitties. Do not pet the cougars. Although, did you know that most large cats react the same way to catnip that house cats do? Anyway, I just wanted to get out this information about Konjac, especially anybody that is trying to get rid of weight or knows somebody trying to get rid of weight and they've seen the lipozene commercials. The lipozene and the glucomannan probably won't hurt you, but they will give you the runs. But the konjac noodles, you just don't want to go there. There's a reason Australia's banned them. And what was I? Oh, I was binge watching The Good Doctor. And they had some kid in there who had eaten the konjac noodles. Speaking of, where the hell is Kami? I haven't seen her in a couple days. Or maybe I talked to her last night. I don't know. One day just blends into the next. All I know is I'm going to have to go to bed pretty soon because I got to be up early to haul possums and elders around. And then go grocery shopping. Oh, God. One of the places I got to go down there is Walmart, and I hate Walmart. Yeah, it's konjac noodles branded here. There we go. They go by several different names, I guess. Um, the brand name is Better Than Pasta. Let's see. Although konjac has been eaten in parts of Asia since the 6th century, its popularity elsewhere seems to be a result of its supposed role in weight loss because it's mostly just water and fiber. Eating it contributes to a feeling of fullness. In Japan, konjac is known as a broom for the stomach because it has a tendency to clean your digestive system right out. It's gluten-free, staple for those on a keto diet. It's also sold as shirataki noodles. Keto-wise, one of the noodles that I saw somebody making online, it had to do with you can Google konjac. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, there was somebody on YouTube making keto noodles, but they're using molecular gastronomy, which is where you have a liquid of some sort, that contains, I can't remember which way it goes, but you've got your calcium chloride, I think, in one thing that's mixed with water, and then you have your agar something that's mixed with some other stuff, and when you drop it in, it'll form like balls or whatever, or you can spread it out and then pour the stuff on, and it makes the keto noodles. And to me, it's just too much trouble to go through. But after I was watching one of those lipazine commercials, and I saw on the package it said Konjac, Arum Konjac, Arum Konjac, and I went, Arum? What the fuck? Why would you be putting an arum in your? Wait a minute, hold on, let me check this out. Huh? Interesting, Brandon. Well, that article said it was. Let's see. As of this writing, Amazon still sells a 6-pack of Better Than Noodles, which retails for $35.72. Ew. Okay. The product has a 3.5-star rating from 314 customers, but as NBC New York noted, some of the reviewers also noted terrible nausea and GI distress and some unholy levels of gastric upset and rage. One person who used her real name and photo wrote that the noodles didn't fully digest in my stomach, so you can imagine the poop situation. Thanks, Bailey. Everyone is imagining that very thing right now. Each package contains about 3 servings, and each serving contains 4 grams of fiber. If Brody consumed 4 packages, that means she ate approximately 48 grams of fiber, which is almost twice the FDA's recommended daily value of 25 grams of fiber. I don't see now where it says that it was banned in. Yeah, each package, which is 3 uh, servings, only contains 25 calories. So, whatever. But she says that it comes from a tree, and no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But then this thing also says that it comes from the stem, and it doesn't come from the stem, it comes from the root. She was eager to give the noodles a try, especially after learning that each package only contained around 25 calories. If I ate 3 or 4 bags of this, I was still looking at around 100 calories, so how great is that? And I was going to get to fill up. Yeah, you sure did. And you got to fill up. Well, Anna, Brandon just said that was able to find uh, them sold in the supermarket there, and it's fiber. Our bodies don't break down fiber generally, but the gel that it creates in your stomach to create the full feeling, as it breaks down, kind of like heating jello or something, it goes right through you. You will end up with the runs like you would not believe. And of course, any kind of fiber like that, it helps with things like lowering blood sugar if you have diabetes and all that sort of thing. But yeah, there's references to it being illegal in Australia, but Brandon just said he can find it, so yeah, it just says it's an indigestible dietary fiber. Which most. Yeah, it's a root of a plant similar to Jack in the Pulpit or calla lily. It kind of looked like taro root in a way. Yeah, I lived near one place where these people lived out in the woods, and they did a lot of their own like farmsteading kind of stuff, and they grew kiwis, but they also made that blue-green algae that everybody was crazy about many years ago. And they would use the runoff from growing this blue-green algae to water their kiwis. And they brought me some kiwis one time, and those things were as big as softballs. They were the biggest freaking kiwis I had ever seen in my life. And then my auntie over in Idaho, she has one of the hardy kiwis that are the little tiny ones that don't have fur on them. And I have never gotten to eat any because I am never there when they're ripe. And there are some years where she just doesn't get any fruit. But this thing is huge and overgrown. And one of the neighbors caught me out in the yard one day and was like, hey, I was driving through here this morning and some big scary looking dude came out from inside that vine and just stood there and stared me down as I drove by. And I'm like, oh shit, what the hell? There was like a hollowed out area underneath it. So I went and looked under there and found a baggie with these little blue crystals in it. My God, Jesus Christ, it's tweakers. Fuck. And Auntie had me take the crystals down to the police department. So apparently during the night, some tweaker sat there under the kiwi smoking these crystals. And the cops call back later and says, these are actually dryer crystals. So some tweaker got ripped off and got sold dryer crystals instead of meth. Oh, I bet he had a headache trying to smoke that shit. Anna, in some farmers markets and stuff, if you're in an area where kiwis grow, sometimes you can find people selling some pretty good sized stuff. Oh, really, Brandon? I guess I got a few stalkers, huh? The thing is, we get attacked by the vegans quite a lot, and it's like, technically, you know, I'll fight you on it, motherfucker. I will fight you on it. But the truth of the matter is, I generally prefer a more vegetarian diet. I always have. But I will fight for anybody else's right to their own diet. Yeah, dryer crystals. Those refresher crystals, like Downy dryer fresh crystals or something like that. Fucking lighter's dying. And the thing is, I try to give that article to vegans that are arguing with us, and they won't read it. It's too inconvenient because I did a lot of research and I covered a lot of bases. It's kind of like if somebody sells somebody oregano claiming it's pot. Or if somebody sells you baking soda and chalk or something and tells you that it's cocaine or heroin or something. Okay. Well, you know, the people over there, they think that they really found something wild and amazing because they found my very public articles. I mean, just please. Are you kidding me? No, it isn't. It's actually, Anna, the veganism is slightly on the uptick, but if you read the article that Brandon read, I think it's like 84% of vegans go back to eating meat at some point. And some people, if they, you know, do it very carefully, they can live quite well on a vegan diet. But the problem is vegans have turned it into a religion and think that everybody can do it, and they don't care what kind of health issues you have and all that sort of thing. I have a friend who has Crohn's disease, and her limit is like 3 blueberries, and she knows if she tries to eat a 4th blueberry, she's going to be in a fuckload of pain. She's had several surgeries. She's about to have another one. and she's had to have parts of her bowel removed. She cannot have fiber, which is what vegetables are. I'm surprised vegans haven't been breeding Lone Star ticks to send them out to bite everybody so they become allergic to red meat. And as Brandon states, they tell Native people they could go vegan if they wanted to. And that story also contains prices from like the Inuit up in like Alaska, northern Canada, stuff like that, where one watermelon is $72. And it's probably old and it's taken a while to get there. Who's this? Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on, let me tell her I'm live. I'm live. When blueberries are in season, if they're good blueberries, plus we've got people up here that do the you-pick blueberry fields and stuff like that. I don't know what, there used to be a place down by Aberdeen that had a you-pick strawberry farm. And I have no idea what happened to that. It's not there anymore. And I used to just pick shitloads of them. And I'd get up to the scales and they say, hey, how many did you eat while you were out there? And I'm like, none. I was busy picking. Because I'm like, I want to just load up and get the hell out of here. But when blueberries are in season, I'll just handfuls at a time. When I go to Idaho, the mulberries are ripe. And I know several places where there's like the black mulberries, but I also know a couple places where there's white mulberries, which are even sweeter than the black mulberries. So I will stand under these trees and just eat until I'm practically bloated. And one of the spots that I found some mulberry trees, I'm standing under these trees. Maybe just a little. But I was standing under this mulberry tree near the Clearwater River, and I'm just, picking them and throwing them in my mouth. And then I looked down and realized, here I am in my shorts and sandals, and I'm standing in a big patch of poison ivy. But for some reason, I am not allergic to the urushiol in like poison ivy, poison oak. So it never seems to bother me. But, I don't push my luck because there's a first time for everything. And sometimes all of a sudden out of nowhere, oh, I'm itching like a motherfucker. And of course, I tend to be in a land of brain fog. So I'll start scratching thinking that it's just the fibro itch, because with fibromyalgia, I get this horrible itching just out of nowhere. And I would probably be breaking blisters and spreading it even more. All because I wasn't paying attention. Of course, I probably will not be going to Idaho next month because gas is so expensive, I just can't afford it. Of course, I don't know what they're going to do with this ortho appointment on the 16th. Because even if I did go over there, if my back isn't somehow fixed, I'm not of any good to my auntie. But she's upset because her windows have not been washed in 2 years now. Well, that's just it. A lot of medications don't work for me. And I mean, most of them do not. But mostly it's the herniated discs, fibromyalgia, and ME, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis. A friend of mine who is a journalist who writes for like the New York Times and all this other stuff. Here, Brandon, you want to answer that one? Um, she also has ME and she's also battling cancer. So she showed me this documentary to watch, and holy mother of fuck, these people have the most severe form of ME. And I mean, they'll be just trying to walk along, they're on crutches or walkers or something, and they'll just have to crumple to the floor in pain and can't move. And all the other things that happen with ME, and I can't think of what the name is now. I don't know if I can find the messages from her. Open, open, open. Okay. Let's see. Nope, not that. She was helping me with the stuff with Nicole. Oh, where the hell did it go? Nope, that's not it. Huh. Why is it not? Oh, that's shit. Well, screw that. Because it wasn't in our private messages. Because it was in a Twitter thread. Let's see if we can find. Unrest. Okay, it's called Unrest. Hold on. Harvard PhD student Jennifer Brea. Hold on. Freeze, motherfucker. Freeze, motherfucker. Okay. I don't do that. Oh, stop. Okay, we'll do this.
From as early as I can remember, I wanted to swallow the world whole. Anything was possible. I just thought I would have more time. I don't know what I did to myself. I don't think I can get up off the couch. I feel like my brain is misfiring. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to speak.
If you say too little, they can't help you. And if you say too much, they think you're a mental patient.
The doctor would tell me, you're just dehydrated. Everyone gets stressed. Then I went online and found thousands of other people just like me.
Yeah, I'm completely bedridden.
I'm just watching my life disappear.
I have ME, CFS, that's chronic fatigue syndrome.
Historically, you can see illnesses very similar to this called many different things.
I saw someone collecting the other day for ME. That's the one where I don't feel like going to work today.
Fuck you.
Chronic fatigue syndrome. Yeah, I'm tired too.
Assholes.
When medicine has no answers for you, where do you turn? Oh my god.
It's like the craziest high school science experiment you've ever done. Just because it's crazy doesn't mean it's wrong.
You're looking at this camera. I started filming more and more people all over the world from my bed.
Hi, Jeanette.
You know what it is about being observed? Is that people feel sorry for you.
Baby, I'm so sorry.
I have the strength of a mountain, and I've got the
We're kind of both organizing a day of protest as well as organizing individual protests.
and the stars, they burn bright.
All of those things, those really simple things. There's the sun. That life was gone, but here I have this new one,
And I'll take all you throw at me.
and I have to fight for it.
It is a really good documentary, but it's also scary as fuck. There is a high rate of suicide among people with ME, especially the more severe forms, because you don't know what else to do. You aren't living, you're vaguely existing. You know, your body just gives out on you. I can be having a good day, and maybe my back isn't bothering me as much, so I try to do something, and it's like somebody just untied a balloon, and there goes all my energy. It's gone. But ME has gone by many names. It was the yuppie flu, it was Epstein-Barr, chronic mononucleosis, then it was chronic fatigue syndrome, and now it's myalgic encephalomyelitis. Oh, for sore throat, depending on what your sore throat is from, if it's just irritated from speaking, smoking, or snoring, you can put some sage into a cup, pour some boiling water over it, let it steep until it's cool. You can add a little honey if you want to. Usually only takes a couple of sips, and it, for some reason, just gone. But if it's a sore throat from actually getting sick, well, then it's probably not going to do much. But, you know, when I was diagnosed like 20 years ago, my doctor sat me down. I'd heard of Epstein-Barr and yuppie flu. I had never heard it called chronic fatigue syndrome, which is what it was called at that time. And he held my hands and looked into my eyes like he was about to propose, except he looked really sad. And he said, we've narrowed everything down and we've cut out any other possibilities. What you have is chronic fatigue syndrome, and there is no cure for it. And my first thought was, oh, good, I'm going to need nappy time all the time now. You know, and I had no idea what I was in for. And the research on it is pathetic. This documentary talks about how to do so properly, at least in the UK, they need like 40 billion euros, and the government gave them 30 million or 3 million euros, 3 million out of 40 billion. It's not high on their priority list, even though people are dying from it. Usually from suicide, but there has been a man in the UK who has died because of everything that it causes. Oh, Brandon, it's such a long list at this point. I mean, the herniated discs are causing spinal stenosis, and it's complicated by the fact that I have an extra vertebrae. So where most people have 206 bones, I have 207. And then I have fibromyalgia and ME. And there's some arthritis, but then again, you know, at my age, hello, duh. And they tell you that, you know, oh, well, you know, it doesn't get any worse. And then you find out, yeah, it does get worse. And the fibromyalgia has been absolute hell because When they sent me to a specialist in Seattle, it was an autoimmune clinic, and this woman is like pressing on me. I'm like, ow! And I'm like, Jesus, do you have thumbtacks glued to your fingertips or something? And she's showing me her fingers, and she says, no, but did you know you have fibromyalgia? I said, no, I have chronic fatigue syndrome. She says, well, yeah, you have that too. I'm like, oh, fuck, are you fucking kidding me? I didn't know at the time you could have more than one autoimmune disorder. And once you start getting them, you seem to start collecting them. I'm allergic to cannabis. CBD, I don't seem to have a problem with, but anything with THC in it, Same as opiates. I would start puking my guts out. And I got desperate one time because people kept telling me, well, if you can't smoke it, maybe you should try some edibles. So I went down the hill and I got one truffle. And knowing that I have a low tolerance for anything, I cut the truffle in half. And I ate that. Didn't taste too bad because I hate the smell of weed. So I'm like, I don't think I'll like the taste of weed. So I ate that and I sat here for an hour and nothing. Oh, yeah, that's right, Brandon. I remember that. So then I took the other half of the truffle, and within 15 minutes, it all hit me at once. And it was like getting really, really drunk almost immediately. And I'm like, oh, I do not like this. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. I went and laid on my side in case I started vomiting. And it did not work. So then I tried some CBD chocolates. And while it helped with the sleeping, it didn't really help much with the pain. And they didn't taste bad either, but then I got some CBD gummies, and those things taste like ass. They are awful. They smell bad, they taste bad, and they do ease the pain just a little bit, but I just can't really afford to keep buying them. Because even where I get them, they're relatively cheap compared to anywhere else, but it's still $10 for a bag of 10. But with fibromyalgia, I mean, that's why I tried marijuana in the first place, is because the fibromyalgia pain with the joints and the muscle weakness and everything else. And I just tried, somebody gave me a big, huge sticky bud, and I took one little nugget off of it, and I only took a few puffs off of it. I ended up vomiting for an entire day. Yeah, I don't like the smell of it. I did get a cannabis fragrance oil that I was going to make candles with for people who do like the smell of cannabis. And it doesn't smell anything like cannabis. It just sucks. I have not been having good luck with ordering fragrances online. I got a Kentucky bourbon fragrance, and it smells more like maple syrup or something. And I've got some that are supposed to be arriving probably tomorrow. And I'm really hoping they'll turn out decent. As a matter of fact, I think that's the one where I ordered a 4-ounce bottle of the Nag Champa because they have the good Nag Champa that smells like the incense. I've gotten it from 2 or 3 other companies, and it just, nope, that's not Nag. That is not it. But with fibromyalgia and ME, there's always something different going on. Ooh. Ew, ew, ew. Yeah, especially depending on the temperature of the water, you can give yourself a heart attack that way. If you're overheated and you chug down really cold water, what is the coffee test, Anna? If you get overheated, whether in a bath or out in the sun, and you chug really cold water, you can cause yourself a heart attack. But several years ago, the doctor that I was seeing then, I started getting these horrible pains in my left leg. And I mean, screaming pain, literally screaming. Yeah, I remember you mentioned the cold showers. I'm very cold intolerant because of the. Oh, that, yeah, I've done that. And I do in bottle, out of bottle, dry down, etc. Not even close. And when you're ordering the fragrances online, you don't have a chance of smelling them first. There's one place I got some samplers, and uh, I got a bacon one. And usually the bacon fragrances just smell like, liquid smoke or something. This one actually smells like bacon. I just, who wants a bacon scented lotion though, or a bacon scented soap, or, I mean, I can see it in a candle for some weirdo that wants a bacon scented candle, but anything else, you're just kind of like, yeah, do you really want to go through your days smelling like bacon? Granted, there are some people who would. But then again, do you really want to go through your days smelling like cannabis? And there are some who would. But anyway, these cramps, well, it wasn't even really cramps. It was this horrible pain in my leg that was just crippling. And my doctor was dragging his ass about it. And this is a motherfucker who weighs between 400 and 500 pounds. And I'd go in the office and he'd look me over and say, "Are you doing anything about your weight?" And I'm looking at him like, really? Have you looked in a mirror lately? Because you weigh twice as much as I do. But he was dragging his feet, and it finally ended up I had to go to the emergency room, and that was one of the hospitals that, oh Jesus, motherfuck, don't ever go there. Don't even take a dog there. Christ almighty. The triage nurse acted like I was looking for a fix, even though the top of my chart says does not like narcotics. And it's like, it's not that I don't like them, it's that they will make me vomit. I'm sure if they didn't make me vomit, I would love them just as much as everybody else in this podunk hellhole. Yeah, I don't want to. I just, you get every neighborhood dog following you everywhere. You might as well be wearing pork chop underwear. Oh my God. Well, this one place that I get fragrances from, they have fragrances like diesel, baby diaper. I mean, seriously. What would be interesting though is you're trying to make nice with an enemy, but you don't really want to make nice, and you get one of the baby diaper or skunk fart or something like that, and you make the bottom part of the candle with that, but you put like a nice scent on top of that, like a top layer that seals it in. And then after they've burned the candle for a while, all of a sudden that skunk fart or baby diaper smell starts coming out. I was at the Jelly Belly factory in Fairfield, California when the Harry Potter beans started coming out. And I tried, because they'll give you free samples, and I tried the roasted garlic beans, and I fell in love with those fuckers. My friend was so pissed off because she says, "Oh my God, your breath smells like garlic." I'm like, but these are really freaking good. And I didn't try any of the other really weird ones, and she didn't want to do the tour because she's done the tour before. Excuse me, I have not. She didn't want to do any of the wine tastings at the wineries because she didn't like wine. Well, I do. We saw some tastings for olive oil, and I was like, "Oh, let's go do an olive oil tasting." She's like, "Oh my God, that is so gross." It's like, no, different olive oils have different properties and different tastes and flavors and nuances. Good. Oh, but we could go to fucking Walmart to go shopping every goddamn day. We could go to a bar where we meet up with some guys I had no idea we were meeting up with, and what would your husband think about this? Ugh. Some people actually do like the smell of skunk, but at a low level, not like, oh, my dog just harassed a skunk and got sprayed full in the face. And we have a plant here, which is also in the arum family, called skunk cabbage, and it smells like skunk. And it's not terribly unpleasant because it's not like it's really intensely strong, like a skunk has just sprayed the area or somebody's hit a skunk. Come on, just give me the picture, douchebags. Oh, seriously, come on. Well, we'll just do this then. Fuck it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. That is skunk cabbage. Well, if you're not used to it, it is a very unpleasant smell. But that's what a skunk cabbage looks like. And it grows in swampy areas, and bears eat them. Right? I mean, thanks to the American medical, the Cherokee actually did used to eat skunk. I don't know how they descent them to eat them, or if they like. I can't imagine eating. Plus, they're really cute. So, who wants to eat a cute little skunk? But because of American medical system, I've had to self medicate with alcohol. And I used to like to drink every once in a while. You get a little squaved up, a little hodged, and have a good time and that sort of thing. Once it becomes medicine, it's a pain in the ass and you fucking hate it. But it's gotten to where, my beloved wine can't have that anymore. Causes me heartburn and it makes the muscle cramping worse. And the cheapest hard alcohol is vodka. I've always hated vodka. Really? Huh. That's weird. But, I've just gotten to where, I put like maybe half an inch of vodka, if even that, in the bottom of the glass and fill it up with mixer, no ice. If I can taste it, I can't drink it. But it's getting to where no matter how little I put in, I can taste it, and I end up pushing the glass away because I just can't. Ugh, no, can't handle it. Um, I hard cider is a lot more expensive than wine here. Brandon, did you put them through the dryer? Could you be having a problem with the element in your dryer, the heating element? Because sometimes if a dryer isn't drying properly, or if it takes several cycles to get your clothes to dry, usually the culprit is your dryer element. And sometimes that can be a very easy thing to replace. The guy that I was cleaning house for, I don't know why. He could have afforded a new freaking dryer, for fuck's sake, but he kept getting it fixed, and it was costing him $200 a pop every time it needed fixed. And it was the drums, and it was the rollers, and it was the belt, and I don't know that he ever got the element fixed. And so I would put the clothes in for half what I intended, and then when that went off, I would take it out, clean out the lint trap, fluff up the laundry, and then put it in for the second half. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing, but at the same time, even a regular load, if your element is going out, it's still not going to dry properly. At one point, I was like, okay, one towel. Oh, yeah, it's going to take 2 hours to dry. One towel. And then one time he was out of town, so I went out to finish some stuff. And what's really weird is he lives out in the boonies where he has hard water and all this other stuff. And his shower floor always looked really badly stained. And I had tried everything. I would wet it and then leave Comet sitting on it and scrub it with a scrub brush. Nothing. Oh, I don't know, Brandon. But one time I was scrubbing it, I'm like, the dirt on here looks like it's reddish, like blood or something. So I tried peroxide. No, that didn't do it. Like, it kind of reminds me of rust. And I went, oh my God, rust. So I went and got the bottle of navel jelly that I had under the sink. And, okay, see you in a minute, Brandon. And I put it on the stains. And I forgot about it. But he was out of town, so I had to come back and finish some stuff. So while I'm there, I'm drying some clothes, and I wasn't paying attention. That's when I realized, oh, geez, I left that stuff on there. Now it's all, dried out and everything. So I sprinkled it a little bit so it would rehydrate, and went to do something. Went to go get check the clothes in the dryer. I'm like, oh, I didn't even hear it buzz. So I go to take the clothes out, and they're still really wet. And I notice there's still time on the dryer, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh shit, the dryer gave out again. We just got it fixed. Oh my God, I'm flipping out. I open the electrical panel, and I'm flipping the switch back and forth on the dryer. That's not doing it. I'm, everything. And I needed to see something, so I went to flip on the light in the laundry room and went, oh, fuck, electricity's out. Shit. So I had to sit around and wait until the electricity came back on and finish it. But then I went to scrub the navel jelly off the floor of the shower, and I went, oh my God! All these years, I finally got it! Ah! And the next time I saw him, I'm like, hey, did you notice I managed to finally get the stains out of the shower? And he says, yeah, how'd you do that? I said, it was rust from the hard water. Oh? Because he was like a really kind of low-key, mellow, laid-back dude, logger type. And so that would be like a big expression of emotion for him. Oh? And he had a contract with the state to do forest fires. He had like backhoes and all that stuff. Navel jelly. It's called that because it's a pink gelatinous liquid that the Navy used to stop rusting. It's actually more of a liquid. It's kind of a pink liquid, but it's kind of thick and gloopy, and you don't want to get it on your hands. But because he's got hard water out there, his toilets would get really badly rust stained. So I asked him to get some of that stuff, and I had to turn off the water to the toilet and keep flushing it to get as much of the water out. But then I, poured it in the toilet, and I used like an old brush to move it around all the stains, and I just left it sitting there. All of a sudden, whoopee! No more rust stains in the toilet. And you can use it on porcelain bathtubs and everything like that. And if you've got, if you've got like one of those old clawfoot tubs, and maybe your faucet leaks a little, so then you've got rust on there, put some of that stuff on there and let it set, and bye rust stains. And then when I had to do Dad's house, it wasn't so much rust as no, but the stupid live-in nurse wasn't cleaning fuck all, and I had to use an entire pumice stone on his toilet to get it clean. You can also sometimes use it on fabrics if you've got rust stains on fabrics. Just be really careful and use like an artist paintbrush, or check, a small area first to make sure it's not going to like dissolve your fabric. Because something like silk, it might dissolve, but if you have like fabric that you've had pinned together with like safety pins, and they rusted or whatever and left some rust spots, sometimes if it's a tough enough fabric, just brush a little bit of that on there. And then I've also got those brushes that you attach to your hand drill. And because Ollie was having a hard time here with his dingy looking floors, and I said, well, it's probably old wax. And so he borrowed the drill and my brushes, but he couldn't get the stuff off. I said, what are you using? I said, use, straight ammonia cleaner. It has ammonia in it. And I'm like, no, you want to put just straight ammonia on that old wax and let it sit there a while, and then use that thing, and it will strip that old wax right off and all the old dirt with it. And then there was Dad's oven. Apparently, he had had a grease fire in the oven at one point, and there was baking soda all over the bottom, and it was just thick with stains and grease and baked on crap, and it took me probably an entire can of oven cleaner to finally get it all cleaned out. I have never had the vinegar and baking soda thing work. I have tried the vinegar and baking soda, and plus like on like old pans and stuff where you get grease that enamels on. I've tried using the so-called, what is it? It's dish soap, baking soda, some salt, and then you cover it with some paper towels and pour white vinegar over it. And, look at this miracle cleanup. Blah. No, doesn't do squat. Of course, mixing baking soda and citric acid is always fun, because then, you've got a powder that will all of a sudden start fizzing once you add water. That's cool. Of course, if you do citric acid, baking soda, and powdered sugar, well, that is what makes up that stuff in the middle of those Zotz candies, that fizzy stuff in the middle of your Zotz candies. And you can actually make your own Zotz type candies. I have like 900,000 towels. I'm always using them for everything from bathing to cleaning up after critters, and I've got a couple on the porch I need to wash because they're in the kennel, the dog carrier that I set up for my neighbor's cat when her son came to visit for Christmas, and the cat doesn't like their dogs, so it tends to run off. So I just set that up there so the cat would have a warm place to sleep if it needed to. But nope, Goofy Cat wants to sleep on the top of the cat tree that's out there. Well, there are many houses on the idea of how to make ice. Some tell you to use distilled water. Some tell you to use hot water. And I generally don't pay that much attention to ice. But those volcanoes you make in school with the baking soda and vinegar? Mix up your citric acid and baking soda and put it in there, and then hand somebody some water and go, oh, you want to set off the volcano? Here, have some water. And it everybody knows the trick. And I'm like, well, you can't use water. You need vinegar. It's like, no, just pour some water in. And they don't think it's going to work, so they'll dump it in there. And I'm always finding stuff like little sciencey things, because my little guy across the street, he likes to do stuff like that. And I've gotten cheap glue and made him slime. I've made him glow in the dark slime. I've made him glitter slime. And mostly just because I like to make slime too, so. But of course, after I've made it, then I kind of, lose my interest in it. So I put it in a container and take it over my little guy across the street. Matter of fact, his birthday's coming up next month, and I'm thinking I might make him a piñata for his birthday. I just need to get some cardboard boxes and find out what kind of cartoon characters or something he likes. Get some tissue paper. Well, Brandon is also going into autumn well, he's well into autumn. He's going into winter down there, so. Yeah, well, when you're raised basically by a single mom and you live in pathetic small towns where the men are more interested in drugs than working, you'll learn how to do shit for yourself. I cannot tell you how many men I have changed tires for. I had a flat tire one time, and this guy insisted he needed to help me. I guess he was being chivalrous or something. And he literally grabbed me by the shoulders and pushed me out of the way, saying, "This is dangerous. It could slip off the jack." I'm like, dude, I know how to change a fucking tire. And I'm standing there waiting, and he's struggling with it. I'm ready to just kick him out of the way and say, "Get the fuck away from the jack. Step away from the jack." Because I'm used to having old cars. They're junkers. I can change a tire in 10 minutes or less. And dude, you're just dragging me down here. But I was on my way to Vancouver one time and stopped at a rest stop. And there was all these guys standing around this car from Colorado, cute little blue car. And they're all scratching their heads looking at this flat tire. And I'm like, well, do you need some help? Yeah, we can't figure out how to get the jack to work. So I go in my vehicle and I get out my floor jack. And they're looking at me like, you carry a floor jack? I'm like, I drive res rockets. I better be carrying a floor jack. Because it's just so much faster. And then they couldn't figure out how to get the lug nuts off. So I get out my 4-way lug wrench and I loosen up the lug nuts and I jack the motherfucker up, take the lug nuts the rest of the way off, take the tire off, get the new one on there, tighten down the lug nuts, and they'll drop the thing, and then I tighten those lug nuts, using wrenching on it with my foot and pulling on it with my hand. And they're just looking at me like, what the fuck, man? But every woman should also know how to change her oil and any other shit like that. You should know how to change a lot of that shit. Checking your fuses, etc., etc., etc. And my lighter is dead. God damn it. Ouch. Is that blue? Yeah, that's blue. It's not black, damn it. But it works, so. My mother taught me how to rewire lamps and stuff like that, minor electrical. Plumbing, she didn't teach me anything about plumbing, but once I got to looking at plumbing, it's kind of like playing with Tinker Toys. If you get a broken pipe, if it's, the PVC plastic pipe, you turn off your water. You want to mark where the break is, just in case you have a hard time finding it again. But mark where the break is. Turn off your water. Use a hacksaw and cut out that part. And then you use the little connector things, and you kind of sand them down and all that sort of thing. And you basically just glue things back together. If you need a piece of PVC, you buy some PVC and, you just stick things back together. It's the copper piping, for the hot water and stuff. That's where, I don't do torches. Nope. Torches and solder is just not my thing. I've never been any good at soldering. I think I finally soldered something successfully one time, and I just broke out into a happy dance because it actually worked. And I actually used the right solder, the electric solder. But yeah, women, get you some, even men. Men don't seem to know how to do any of that stuff anymore. Get you some good, basic home fix-it books. That last boyfriend of mine, he was in IT management, and the thing is, yeah, he was great with computers, but anything else he was awful at. He insisted on taking this road trip one day, and my car broke down. He was absolutely zero fucking help. And his suggestion was actually, well, it is kind of an old car. Maybe you should get another one. I'm like, are you paying for it, motherfucker? Fucking ridiculous. And I started flipping out, so he just shakes his head and, waves me off and walks away like, I don't know her. And like, yeah, go ahead, motherfucker. Walk back to Seattle, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. And I had to call and borrow some money to get the starter replaced. Because I had crawled under there and I tried hammering on it and everything, and it just, nothing was working. And so he paid $20 towards the $80 tow bill. That's it. Mr. Oh, I make so much more money than you. And he'd tell me shit like, well, you're never going to find anybody with the earning potential I have. Yeah, earning potential. You're out of work, motherfucker. Nobody's hiring you. Your kangaroo brother was talking. Are you talking to kangaroo? How much did you smoke, Brandon, if you're talking to kangaroos? But even if it came to like fixing a tire or replacing a tire, he didn't have a fucking clue. And I've dated several guys like that, didn't know fuck all about cars. And then I had this friend that considers himself a shaman. Oh my God, we won't even go there for right now. That's another subject for another day. He was talking about getting the oil changed in his pickup, and I'm like, well, get the stuff, I'll do it. Oh no, this is very specialized. I'm sorry, what? It's an old 78 Chevy pickup. You put a pan under it, you take the plug out, you let it drain, you take out the old filter, grease up the new filter and put it in place, put the plug back in, and then put the fresh oil in. Not that complicated. It is not brain surgery. How he thought it was so specialized, I don't fucking know. And my mother used to get so pissed off at me because I would stop for people broken down on the side of the road. She's like, you're going to get murdered one of these days. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, whatever. Oh, okay. Okay. But she was really pissed off because I stopped for a carload of, now get this, hold on your britches, Mexicans. Oh my God, I stopped for a carload of Mexicans. I'm like, Mom, there was a woman and her baby with them. I'm not leaving a woman and her baby on the side of a road. And they didn't know what was wrong with their car. No, that was my friend's pickup, but I had a 78 Chevy myself, and that was a piece of shit. It was a bad investment. I will never own another Chevy ever the motherfuck again. Fucking hate Chevys. But I had them turn on the engine. It started squealing. I'm like, shut it off, shut it off, shut it off. I went to check their oil, and there was not a drop of oil in it. And they're trying to tell me, no, just had oil change, just had oil change. And I'm like, well, they screwed you then because there's no oil in this thing. And I went to check the oil filter, and it was really loose. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it leaked out around the filter. Well, yeah, Ruse can kick your ass. But, what was it? The place had not checked, and the seal from the old filter had stuck on there, and they put the new filter on without taking the old one off. Well, without taking the old seal off because they hadn't noticed. And so it let all the oil leak out. So I had to go all the way back to town, and I came back and, greased up the stupid filter gasket, put it on, got it on there good and tight, but not too tight because you don't want to do that either. Put the oil in and said, okay, just give it a couple minutes, let it, get in there. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, I said, okay, turn it on now. And it squealed at first and then immediately quieted down. But there was a lifter that was clicking. And I'm like, oh, God, I hope they haven't ruined their engine. Shit. But at least it hadn't seized up on them. Yeah, I've seen some videos of people getting attacked by kangaroos, and those motherfuckers are vicious. They've got some nasty toenails that'll rip you open. Kind of like ostriches will do that too. They can gut you easily. But yeah, usually I carry like extra brake fluid, motor oil, transmission fluid, water. I have a shitload of tools, which Ollie seems to find amusing. It's like, dude, you drive an old car, you better... Yeah, they were able to get into town to their relatives, and I said, just keep an eye on it, And then another poor kid, he had broken down, and his... it was overheating and steaming, and so we let it cool down, and I put water in, and I had him turn it on, and it was his water pump. You could see water coming out of the water pump. But he was close enough to a mechanic that he was able to get there without it overheating again. But some of the minor stuff I can do, just on the side of the road. And my sister loves those videos of wildlife beating the crap out of humans. Dude had gone hunting here, and I was out house sitting again, and he says, oh yeah, he says that I could use his cooler. I'm like, cooler? What cooler? I didn't know anything about any freaking cooler. And so I walk out to the shop with him, and like, there's this big cooler on wheels out there, and I'm like, I don't clean the shop. Not a clue. Not my business. So he puts everything, including, he had it already quartered and everything. He puts it in there, and he comes and checks on it every day, turns it over. Not sure what, I'm not a hunter. I don't know. So he comes back to get everything one day. And I went out there, say hi, blah, blah, blah. And he had a hold of the head by the antlers, and he went to toss it in the back. It was an elk, and he tossed it in the back of his pickup, and it bounced back and gored him right in the forehead. Huge ass motherfucking hole right in the middle of his forehead. I'm going into panic mode. I'm like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some stuff to clean it up. Blah, 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 blah. No, it's okay. It wasn't even bleeding. I don't understand how a big hole in your forehead is not bleeding. And he just went, got everything done and went on his merry way. And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck was that? But I was like, yep, that elk got its revenge on you. It gored you right in the head. A lot of animals can kill you. I think I still got those books right here. Yeah, they're little booklets. Don't get bitten, the dangers of things that bite and sting, and don't get eaten, the dangers of animals that charge or attack. The Mountaineers books. Yeah, and pandas will eat you. I don't think pandas are in this book. Bears, buffalo, cougars. Oh, that's the one that scares me. Well, that and Sasquatch, but, grizzlies. Javelinas. I found out that javelinas are neither pig nor whatever, something else somebody said they were. They're not actually pigs. I thought they were wild pig. Moose? Oh my god, moose are freaking huge. Wolves. We got wolves up north, and then it's something about rabies. The babies are cuter than the adults, but don't mess with the babies because mama's around somewhere. Yeah, in the United States, the main vectors for rabies are skunks, raccoons, and bats. Minor on foxes and domestic animals. When I got bit by a possum, the hospital called my county's health department, and they're calling me, and you need to get rabies shots and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, possums almost cannot get rabies, and it was a defensive bite. It's not like it came out of nowhere and attacked me. Most wild animals, if they come out of nowhere to attack you, there's a good chance they're rabid. Rats can get rabies, but they're not a high vector for rabies generally. They're more of a vector for bubonic plague, as are prairie dogs. Cute little prairie dogs. And of course, they get it from a bite from a flea that's infected. People say that, oh, bats carry rabies. No, they don't. Nothing carries rabies. If they get bitten by a flea that is infected with Yersinia pestis, which is the virus that causes bubonic plague, well, then they'll get it in their system, and then that's how they get rabies, and then they go biting something else. Or no, bubonic plague. Sorry. Yeah, we were talking about bubonic plague, not rabies. Okay, so rabies. What virus is rabies? Yes, bubonic plague does still exist, especially in the American Southwest, in arid desert areas particularly. And it's usually like squirrels, prairie dogs, stuff like that. Pretty sure bubonic plague is Yersinia pestis. Let's see. Rabies virus taxonomy. Okay, yeah, rabies is rabies lyssavirus. But also in the desert Southwest and other arid areas, you also have hantavirus, which is caused by dust from rodent feces and urine. And if you inhale that, it causes respiratory virus, and people have been known to die from that too. And there's also a fungus in desert sands and soils that can also affect you. I think they call it valley fever. Yeah, it basically causes, a lot of serious respiratory issues. Speaking of, um, I don't know, you'd have to look up hantavirus with all the symptoms that it has. But there's also a fungus in soil in like California that earthquakes tend to stir it up into the air, and it causes some it it seems like you have a cold at first, but then you end up having other symptoms. And I remember on House MD or whatever they call that show, there were some people that had that, and it can affect your neuropaths and stuff like that. And this 17-year-old girl, oh, yeah, I think between StreamYard and YouTube, there's like a 10-second lag or something like that. But on House, this 17-year-old girl had this mad wild crush on him and wanted to fuck him and all this other stuff. And of course, he's like, "Oh, 17-year-old girl, yeah. Well, when are you going to be 18? Blah blah blah." And she was in his, because she was stalking him, and it was getting weird and everything. So she started to cry, and he started to notice that her tears were milky, and that's when he figured out that, she and her dad had been on vacation in like Sacramento or something. There had been an earthquake, so they both got this fungal whatever from dust that got stirred up. Yes, House. Matter of fact, that's how I ended up getting one of my streams shot down, because I was showing Blackadder with Hugh Laurie before he became the very serious and acerbic Dr. House. And it's weird because it's like you see him playing Prince George and being such an idiot and everything else, and then you look at Dr. House and you go, wow, that's some acting. But bubonic plague does still exist. What is the other one? There's another plague that still exists, but you just don't see it much. Then, of course, you have leprosy, which only humans and armadillos can get. And something like 1/3 to 1/2 of armadillos all have leprosy. It's on, I think it's on Peacock TV. I was just watching Hulu with The Good Doctor. And yeah, well, if you've seen The Good Doctor, Freddie Highmore is also English, and he does American very well. Every once in a while you catch him when it slips, though. And there was something about the coronavirus, and he did a little PSA afterwards using his British accent, and you just go, what? What? But I thought that was an interesting series. I'm just waiting for Rutherford Falls. I have to wait another 10 days. And then the second season of Reservation Dogs is coming up, and there was a movie of The Good Doctor. Oh, you mean the one with Orlando Bloom? Yeah, not the same thing. The series is based on a Korean series where this brilliant genius doctor is actually on the autism spectrum, but he has savant syndrome. And all the challenges that he has doing that sort of thing. And yeah, because I saw The Good Doctor, and that was creepy as fuck. And that was Elvis's granddaughter. Elvis's granddaughter and Orlando Bloom. And I wouldn't doubt there are doctors like that that have such a god complex. Well, not an idiot savant. He's they don't call it that anymore, but he's autistic. But he has this savant syndrome where he's absolutely brilliant at what he chooses to focus on, and in his case, it was surgery. Because spleens don't have eyes, so you don't have to. What happened, Brandon? Yeah, I'm kind of looking at stuff that because have you heard of that series called Candy, and it's based on a true story down in Texas. And this church-going woman, she's trying to get a spark out of her husband. It's back in the 70s when people were doing swinging and all that kind of shit. Became swinger parties became a thing. Yeah, it's based on a Korean series of the same name. And I've actually seen. Well, yeah, if you get one of those. Oh, what do they call it? It's on. Candy is on Hulu. And the gal that played Rose on 2.5 Men, the psycho that was stalking Charlie, she plays the other woman that ends up getting murdered. Yeah, there was one episode of The Good Doctor where they were looking at a scan of a woman's head. They're like, "Is that a tooth?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's one of those cysts that has like teeth and hair and shit in it." And sure enough, it was. But I've been looking at stuff to binge, and yeah. Well, in this one, she's definitely not funny, and I guess the actress has talked about her weight issues, and so she's a little heavier in this one. So she looks like average housewife, and and she seems very down and depressed, and Candy, uh, American Psycho. No, I haven't seen that one. I'm talking about Candy. It's just a series called Candy, and I think there's only like 5 episodes because it's based on a true story. But oh, that Justin Timberlake's wife plays Candy, and she looks very plain in it too herself because they're supposed to be just plain Texas housewives, and she's the mom who does everything and keeps up with everything and all her kids what they're doing, and her husband's working this new job, and you know he goes out for his job. Yeah, Jessica Biel, that's it. Thank you. um but she's trying to get the spark back in her marriage, and it's not happening, and she finds out that somebody else in her church had an affair, so she decides she needs to have an affair, and she chooses this man who was married to the chick that plays Rose in 2.5 Men. And it's interesting. It's a very interesting because I was kind of bummed out because they show you the murder from well, they don't show you the murder itself. You just know that she's killed someone from the start. Yeah, it's the Candy series on Hulu. No, Rose, the woman that plays the murdered woman in Candy, she played Rose. Excuse me, on 2.5 Men, and she was stalking Charlie. As far as American Psycho, the girl that accused Real Stream News of rape, she was stalking one of the actors from American Psycho, and she not only got a restraining order, she ended up getting arrested. That girl needs some serious help. And here RSN's thinking about going to California to visit her. I'm sorry, if someone accused me of rape, I would not be going to visit them. But I've just been, trying to deal with this pain, so I end up just watching stupid shit on here. Try to work on my candles when I can. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the American Psycho. And speaking of Freddie Highmore from The Good Doctor, I also watched him in the series Psycho, based on, the whole Norman Bates thing in the Bates Motel. That was a little freaky. RSN, Real Stream News, another dude that, what's-her-face, Nicole had a crush on. This has been about 3 years or so ago, and she wanted to do YouTube, and for some reason, I don't know why women attach to him like they do, but she wanted to come and visit him and do streams with him and all this other stuff, and apparently she told people she was going to get famous or something like that. It's like, not doing Real Stream News is, what the hell? At the time, he only had a few hundred subscribers, and apparently he thought that they were hooking up or something, but she had a couple drinks because it was the eve of her 21st birthday. People keep trying to make it, he was supplying alcohol to a minor. Well, you make it sound like she was 12 years old. And she said no twice, but then eventually she said yes, but it's up for debate if she said yes as in she actually wanted to, or yes as in fine if you will leave me alone afterwards kind of thing. So, and it was just a whole big mess. It's on his channel. I don't want to go into it. But it became a big thing, and he was known all over YouTube as a rapist and all this other stuff. And she has accused several men of it over the years. And all of them turned out to not be true. She claimed that her mother pushed her into it. But her mother's gone now, so she can't really blame this Americans. No, is it American Psycho or American Horror Story? Something like that. I can't remember. The actor that played Richard Ramirez in one of those series. But yeah, she's claimed to have been roofied and somebody saved her from being raped or something. She's always got these stories. No, she made the statement because her mother forced her to. Her mother dropped her off at a hotel for her to meet some actor, some American Horror Story. Is that what it is? Okay. And I mean, it was basically a thing where, she was going to get herself into a compromising position and then accuse him of rape. She even tried with Onision. And then she tried with some pop star and sent him hundreds of public tweets. You said we would meet and all this. I'm outside your bus. Come and talk to me. At least give me a hug. All this other crap. And, after 100 tweets, the dude's like, yeah, I'm not coming out of there. I'm not leaving this bus. No, not coming out there. And then there was some club thing where she had this story about some dude raped or roofied her and tried to rape her, and yeah, she retracted it after her mom passed. But he's got recordings where she's talking to her mother on the phone saying, but if I go to the police, they're going to say it was rape. And her mom's like, well, yeah, and they'll do a rape kit or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she says, but it wasn't rape. But, this was also at a time when, women didn't feel that coercion was really rape. And he did coerce her, but, we're talking a fine line here. And then after accusing all these other guys, she starts stalking this actor and then wants RSN to come to California and maybe do a porn with her. I'm like, and he was considering it last I heard. I haven't watched his shit in, a couple months now, but holy fuck, are you kidding me, dude? You're considering, the woman made your life a living hell. You've got people all over YouTube who still to this day call you a rapist. And then we won't even go into what the fuck he did to Harvard chickie. That's some horse shit. He never seems to really face any actual repercussions for the shit he does. And I don't even talk about those people. I don't like any of them. Don't like them. Do not like them. Both of them were abusive to each other, so And Native people in general don't like Johnny Depp anyway, so fuck Johnny Depp, fuck Amber Heard, fuck both of them. They can just go fuck off into the sunset in their own directions. Don't want anything to do with them. I'm on Twitter going, how do I block their names, Because I just don't even want, God, I don't want to hear anything more about them. But at the same time, I see a strong correlation. A former friend of mine, she had an issue with her ex, and because he was the more famous and he was a beloved person and all this other horseshit, he was believed over her, and he destroyed her life. He read her book, for some reason decided he had to hunt her down, and got a hold of her publicity people or whatever. And I think it was because he read about what a vulnerable person she was emotionally and mentally for what she had been through in her life. And his mother was bugging him, get married, I want grandkids, And it was kind of an industry not so secret that he might bat for the other team. So he talked her into going out, and whirlwind romance, sudden proposal just a couple months in. And so she's planning this wedding. Her parents gave her something like $60,000 towards the wedding. She wasn't, being a best-selling author, she wasn't exactly broke herself, but she wasn't really well known. And then all of a sudden he surprises her with a wedding. He sets up a wedding with this Rick Steves or Rick Warren. Yeah, Rick Warren. Thing is, he's an atheist, so I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. And they have this wedding, and it was all over the newspapers and everything. And I don't know if I should say who he is, but he had talked her into buying a house with him, because even though he was getting paid really well, he had shit credit. She had excellent credit. So he talks her into going in on a house with him in Studio City, California, next door to, what's his name? Ed Begley Jr. And they start fixing it up and cleaning it up and painting and all this other stuff. And she's, tidying up the gardens and planting roses and everything. And they have the whirlwind wedding. She goes to move in with him in this house, and that's when he tells her that the marriage wasn't legal and he wants nothing more to do with her, and no, she can't move in. I'm sorry, that would make anyone snap. And this was just about the time her father was really ill. He ended up passing away. And he's on this TV show showing off the roses, going, oh, I wish I had a special lady to share them with. That's when she snapped. Those were her roses. He was giving them away to someone else. No, it's not Rick James, bitch. And he did not want to take her name off the mortgage. So he wanted to stick her with, the payments on the house. So after all this, she snuck into the garden, into their garden technically, at, the middle of the night, and sprinkled basically plant killer on the plants, because you're not sharing my roses with somebody else. And he caught her and called out her name, and she ran. So he calls the police. It becomes a big deal. No, not Leonardo. And it hits the papers. And of course, she's painted as the crazy ex. She's psycho. She's nuts. Oh my God, this shit she's doing. And because he was the bigger, more recognized celebrity, everybody was on his side. And if you saw the legal papers, holy shit, he didn't know how to spell her name correctly. He wasn't sure of her birth date, her eye color, how tall she was. And she arranged for a time to go get some of her stuff out of the house when he wouldn't be there. And she was looking through some stuff, and she found a note that said, she's fallen in love with me, as they always do, but she's not pretty enough, smart enough, athletic enough, or a good enough dancer. She also found his stash of women in prison porn, so apparently he has a thing about women in prison. But he sued her, and because everybody knows who he is, and he painted such a picture and everything, he won. And she didn't have the money to pay him. It was like $100,000. So he has been... Yeah, exactly, Brandon. So he has been hounding her for years. He got court orders to any further money from her book. He gets it. She literally cannot own anything. She cannot own a house, or he can take it. She cannot own a car, or he can take it. She cannot own a professional instrument, or he'll take it. Okay, Brandon. I mean, it's, and everybody, of course, she got, like I said, she got painted as this psycho woman who was stalking him. She also found his empty prescription for Valtrex, which means he has herpes. So Mr. Safety First in the lab isn't exactly Mr. Safety First in the bedroom. Luckily, she didn't get it. And luckily, she didn't get knocked up, because even though they weren't even married yet, he was trying to push having a baby right now, right now, right now. And because she was a friend of mine, I know more about his personal life than I feel comfortable knowing. I mean, I hear some stuff and I go, okay, I thought I was, open-minded and stuff, but there's some shit that I just go, okay, maybe I'm not that open-minded. Some people got some weird kinks going on out there, but hey, you do you, boo. But, I mean, I have talked her off the ledge because he keeps coming after her. Supposedly there's a warrant for her arrest because she didn't show up for a court date that nobody told her about. Luckily, she has a Ring camera, so she sees if there's a sheriff's deputy at her door. And she was supposed to have written another book, but since we've had a parting of the ways, we had a parting of the ways over religion. Because I am very much not Christian. I don't like how Christians push their religion on people. And she's extremely Baptist. And I was talking about a thing where, who's that comedian down there in Arizona? He lives down in Bisbee. Fuck. God damn it, I'm going to have to Google it. Doug Stanhope. And he's a weird, creepy dude, but Doug Stanhope was talking about how he will steal Bibles from motel rooms and autograph them and sell them online. And I thought that was hysterical. Because why do you have Bibles? You don't have any books from any other religions in motel rooms. What the fuck, man? So she thought it was really disrespectful, and I was like, well, I think it's disrespectful to, only honor one religion's book. Of course, if you tried to honor every religion's book, you'd have a complete library in every motel room. But, so she got upset about that because I disrespected Christianity. So it's like, okay, whatever. I hope she's doing well, though, that perhaps she's met somebody that treats her better than he did. But he's a misogynist, he's a creep, he's a narcissist. Because of her upbringing, she had to do premarital counseling. And the premarital counselor said that, he is, my diagnosis is he is a narcissist. And I have seen it. Because he will sit in public and make noises until somebody recognizes him. Then when somebody recognizes him and asks for an autograph, he acts all put out like, oh, can't I just eat in peace? He's since moved to New York, so he's on the other side of the country. But the thing is, she has to go to New York for business and stuff. And she actually fears running into him. A city as big as Manhattan, and she worries about running into him. And it's suspected, because of the rumors about him from before, like when he was back in Seattle, and would get sloppy, shit-faced drunk at a billiards club called Jillian's and hit on the waitresses. Well, it was also known that he was also hitting on a few guys as well, but not quite as publicly. And his best friend down in LA moved to New York City with him. That's cool. I really don't care what religion anybody is, as long as they're not shoving it down my throat. Or insisting that things are their way and no other way, and, well, God doesn't want you to do that. And it's like, well, if you saw the shit that I've been putting on Twitter today, it was a bunch of stuff from the Church of Satan and everything else. Although I have yet to meet my own personal demon guide or whatever, but I don't know what they're waiting for, but hurry up, let's get this moving. But yeah, she was upset because yeah, see, I was born and raised Christian as well, and it never meshed well with me. And, I mean, we went to a holy roller church where they speak in tongues and moan and roll on the floor. I mean, everything short of snake handling, And, I mean, my dad's side of the family, despite, the native stuff, because most of them refused to, because being native was bad, so they wouldn't admit to being native. My dad was about the only one that did out of the 7 kids. But he died before I was born, so I wasn't able to learn much from him. So, I mean, my uncle was like, that rock and roll music, that's the devil getting into you. When you start dancing and jumping around like that, that's the devil getting into you. TV was of the devil, and you only use TV to watch the news to know what's going on in the world. And then my auntie in Idaho, she watches the 700 Club. She gives them money. She gives Benny Hinn money. I don't know if Uncle Bear has broken her of that yet, but geez Louise, come on. These people have millions of dollars and you're having trouble paying your mortgage. And you've got 2 people on Social Security and 2 renters renting your apartments, and you still can't make it. I mean, come on. Plus, she's a shopaholic. But she is still a bit better than my relatives over here because, gay is bad, bi is bad, everything is bad except what they believe. There's no such thing as ghosts. Those are demons. They're demons coming after you. And I've really been pagan most of my life, and I've dealt with ghosts and spirits and everything like that. So I don't know how my family has dealt with so many demons, and I never did until a few years ago. Yeah, matter of fact, okay, a couple years ago I was over there, and apparently Pat Robertson wasn't on for like 2 or 3 days in a row. She called them to find out what was wrong with him. Why is he missing? What happened? Is he okay? And she gets so mad at me because if I happen to be in the room and hear something, I pop off. Because they're talking about, Muslims being these horrible people. And I'm like, oh my God, they think the Christians are horrible people too. And it's just people being people. They just, and I try to explain to her that Islam is not that much different than Christianity. And you're just talking about people who are believing, basically the same beliefs. Oh, they want us dead. They want us dead. What is wanting to go over and kill a bunch of brown Muslim people? Isn't that Christians wanting to go kill Muslims? I've got friends who are Muslim. We talk about religion. My friend Ali, he's Muslim. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all have the same root. They're all Abrahamic religions. Yes, they say thou shalt not kill, but then they justify it in other ways. If you rape a woman, you have to marry her. Why would I want to be married to someone who has traumatized me and physically attacked me? And using the Bible for their anti-abortion shit. Just Google abortion in the Bible and it will come up with every verse where they mention ending a pregnancy and how life begins at the first breath. There's this hateful church here that puts shit up that I just, God is pro-life. Really? Then why did he want to kill all the firstborn in Egypt? Nothing in the Bible makes any sense to me. It contradicts itself constantly, and that's when people tell you, well, they're parables, until they need them to be taken literally. Then they're literal. And what it comes down to is control, power and control. Women are to blame for everything. So you must control them. You must control everything they do. You must control their bodies, everything. Blame Eve. Blame women for everything. Even though it says that if you look at a woman with lust, you're supposed to pluck your own eyes out. Well, then they want to blame it on the women for existing. I wouldn't have these lustful thoughts if you didn't exist. The victim blaming. Oh, Jesus, I've been on here for 2 hours? No wonder my back hurts. God, I haven't gotten up. I'm usually up and down to stretch my back and all that sort of thing so it doesn't hurt as bad. And it's just, I'm leaning forward now trying to stretch my back. But anyway, I think I shall close this out, and I will chat with you another day. Might be for a while, not be for a while. I just haven't felt like, doing live streams, sitting still. Yeah, exactly. When my sister got knocked up at 17 and needed an abortion, they were outside the clinic, And the first time we drove by, I just flipped them off. Of course, my mother used to make us feel like shit by asking, back in 74 when Roe versus Wade first passed, I wonder if abortion's retroactive. Thanks, Mom. We feel so much better. And then this last year or so, I found out that my mother had an abortion. Like, Mom, you were a slut. Yeah, see, that's why I took birth control pills. Because I bled out one night. I hemorrhaged. I was asleep and apparently needed to get up and pee, and my body was trying to tell me to wake up, where you have those, I need to find a bathroom dreams. And every time you find a bathroom, it's either occupied or it's not private or whatever it is. And finally in the dream, I got so desperate. The bathroom was in the middle of a busy intersection with traffic all around. But there's the toilet sitting there on this little riser, and I'm like, fuck it, no more modesty, I gotta pee. And I took my pants down, sat down, started to pee, and woke up because, oh my God, did I just start to pee? And I noticed the bed was wet. I'm like, oh my God, I wet the bed? Are you freaking kidding me? So I go to get out of bed, and this warm gush of fluid goes down my legs, and there's a puddle of blood at my feet. And I was like, oh, holy fuck. And I turned around, and there was like a 3-foot long puddle of blood in the bed. I'm whipping off my nightgown, smearing blood all over my back, drips and squiggles of blood all the way to the bathroom. I'm peeing and trying to wipe all this blood off myself, put a bunch of toilet paper in there, just put some sweatpants on over them, and went, 70 miles an hour to the hospital. And they gave me anti-inflammatories for it. This is obviously hormonal, and you are giving me anti-inflammatories. And it started to slow down after that, but I had to leave for Idaho the next morning, or evening actually, and it still wasn't stopping, but it wasn't, on the 4th of July, I woke up and I'm like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, because my auntie had a trailer up in the orchards that she was renting out. She was between renters, so I had to go in, clean, paint, fix things. No, it wasn't a blood thinner. It was just an anti-inflammatory. It was not like aspirin or anything. And I got up to go to the bathroom, and when I sat down, the pressure from sitting down, blood went everywhere. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I do what I need to do, more toilet paper, spent half an hour cleaning and bleaching the toilet, trying to get every bit of blood. And I just went about my day. I was so fed up at that point. It's like, I don't give a fuck if I bleed to death. Fuck this shit. I got shit to do. And, I went up to the trailer. And it was also at this time that the air conditioning in my car decided to die on me. And it's 105 degrees. And I'm having to run back and forth to Home Depot. And every time I went to the bathroom, it would do it again. So I'd have to stop and clean everything with bleach and get back to the house. And she's like, well, if you're going to go see the emergency room doctor, you better go. And I said, yeah, I guess I better get in there before, all the idiots with their fireworks injuries start coming in. So I wander over there, just a couple blocks away. I drove, but, and it's completely empty in there. And I go in, and they do all the same shit. Well, they put me on birth control pills. And I come out of there, and there's 2 people sitting there with fireworks injuries. I'm like, well, I guess I did get in here in time. And I was supposed to take like 3 of them a day for 3 days, and then 1 a day until the pack was done or something. And after I was done with them, the bleeding started again. And so I called my doctor, and they called in a prescription, and they weren't going to give them to me because I'd already had a pack that month. And I had to call them. I had to call the insurance company. My doctor had to call them. My doctor had to call the insurance company. My pharmacy had to call them. My pharmacy had to call the. We finally got me put on them regularly. And even then, I still had problems. But I've also got endometriosis and fibroids. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, women are just treated like we're just, making shit up, or we're being hysterical, or, so. And one doctor tried to cure the endometriosis by giving me Lupron shots, which stops your period completely for 6 months at a time. You have to go in once a month and get the shots. It screwed up my system so bad. Oh my God, it was a mess. And then I'd been taking these packets of birth control pills. Oh, well, yeah. Well, not necessarily a teepee. I mean, it depends on the tribe, but you had the what a lot of tribes would refer to as your moon time, and you were sequestered because women were thought to have even higher energies and powers than at any other time. And it wasn't because they were unclean, it's because they had all this power that you couldn't touch a man's properties at all, because like if you touched his bows and arrows, well, then maybe he wouldn't be able to get a buffalo, that sort of thing. But you were also cared for by the elder women who would help you clean up and change whatever they used for padding to absorb the blood. They would feed you, they would sing to you, all that sort of thing. And of course it varies by tribe, but it was basically, the older women who have been through menopause usually took care of the young women when they were on their moon time. Yeah. It wasn't that they were being shunned, it's just that tribal people thought of women as being very powerful because they could create life within their bodies. That's why we had matriarchal societies, because there is no future to the tribe without babies. That's why, the men would talk about going to war and they would plan things out, but then they had to go to the women's council, and the women would go, well, do we really want to risk this? Because, we could end up with a lot of dead people. And if the women said no, you didn't go to war. And you had women of different ages, from menstrual age up through the wives, the mothers, and the elders, the grandmothers. And again, that also varies by tribe. But if you've watched Reservation Dogs, Dallas Goldtooth plays William Knifeman, who is a spirit that visits Bear, played by Wunatai DeFaro. And there's a scene where he wakes him up because he's in his bedroom window, and he was like, oh, no, it was in the church during the tornado warning. And he said that, yeah, once when he was a kid. Oh, yeah. Hold on. But he says, yeah, one time when I was just a young boy, smaller than you, I accidentally wandered into the women's council, and ooh, the things I saw there. And he shivers, it's just, so he's basically telling Bear, do not, interfere in the ways of the women, because his best friend and their enemy friend, or whatever you want to call her, they were in the chapel chatting. And he's like, what are they talking about? You don't want to mess with the ways of women. Yeah, they had a doctor at this place where I lived where he was another one of those arrogant sons of bitches that he had started out doing pediatrics, but he switched to geriatrics because it's not as suspicious looking when your patients die, you know? But there was a prominent businessman in town, and he said that, oh, you have Parkinson's, so let's give you these drugs, blah, blah, blah. Well, he started to have these Parkinson's syndromes, like, or symptoms, like the tremors and the ataxia and stuff like that. And then they found out that he did not have Parkinson's, but these pills, the the symptoms stuck around. They were irreversible, and um, I don't know about exposing dead patients, but the businessman sued him. And it's really weird that 2 or 3 of the doctors in that area got rare blood diseases. And I don't remember what kind or if they were all the same kind, but I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but at least 2 of them got these rare blood diseases and had to retire. And that one was one of them. That's the same town where I had the fat ass doctor that would, with his gut practically dragging on the ground, that would bug me about my weight. And I'm like, really? God, I wonder if he's still down there. Let me look at that. What was his name? Oh, fuck, yeah, he's still down there. That arrogant piece of shit motherfucker. Good God. That place is so fucked up. They can't afford actual doctors down there. Hell, we can't afford actual doctors up here. And I don't qualify for the res clinic here, so of course res doctors, oh my God. You get the dudes that, like they say, what do you call a guy who finished lowest in his classes at med school? Doctor. Those are the guys. Oh, yeah, that's because some certain trolls found out that my actual first name is Annie. But they don't seem to have found anything else out. They know my name is Annie, I'm Native American, or of course they call me fake Indian, and I live in Washington State. I had a childhood friend who loved the musical Annie, the movie, and oh dear God. And she thought she was just the greatest singer ever, so she would just break into, "The sun will come out tomorrow." Yeah, God. So I grew to hate the musical or the movie, anything, except that Tim Curry was in it, so. But anyway, I guess I should close out. It's been 2 hours and 18 minutes. And I gotta get stuff done and get ready to take possums to rehab and like a rehabilitation center. They're not like on drugs or anything and need to get off the drugs. And go deal with elders and then pray that I have the energy to go grocery shopping after all that. Yeah, that one was also my horsey friend. The one whose horse stepped on my foot and I thought it was her. The really weird thing is when we were kids, we dreamed up this thing about horse trailers. And except that our horse trailers were really fancy and they had like an area where you could sleep in them, and it was kind of like a little people trailer and then your horse trailer, and be damned if those things don't exist now. That would be a great name for a band, the Possum Junkies. No, they're gonna go train to be big wild possums again. I've only got them because they were orphaned and they weren't injured, so I didn't have to nurse them back to health or anything. And I haven't packed them around like I normally would, and because I'm trying to keep them as wild as possible so that they can be trained to go out on their own and be big possums in the wild. Hold on. I gotta tweet this possum nuggies. Hold on. Come on, move. Oh, there's Lisa. They're Jones and Man. That's her lead singer is Possum Jones. Now I gotta form a possum band. God damn it. I've been trying to find a decent stuffed animal possum pattern and I cannot find one. I found a really good stuffed possum animal, stuffed animal possum, whatever. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure if I got one of those, my auntie could make a pattern of it for me. I could make my own possums out of real fur. Matter of fact, some of the fur she gave me, there was some possum fur in there. But it was Australian possums, the actual possum, and not American opossum. Yeah. So I can sew me some possums. I've got some earring patterns, but I need a stuffy pattern. And I have looked and looked, and you cannot find a decent stuffy pattern. I've got a really cool bat pattern, but I screwed it up when I made one, but I made it with dark gray sheepskin and lambskin leather wings. Usually when I have like injured baby possums, I'll make a pouch for them out of fur that I can wear around my neck so that they stay close and they can, feel the heartbeat and all that stuff like they would with their mom. Yes, like a stuffed animal. I've got a stuffed cat that I really need to do some repair work on and send off to New York. Friend of mine that has a cat rescue. She has lost like 3 of her cats this year. But a lot of the cats that she rescues are feline leukemia positive. So it's usually those, or they get like cancers or something like that. But she takes in a lot of abandoned animals that people, ditch because they don't want to have to take care of them anymore or pay for vetting or whatever. It's like, then what did you get an animal for in the first place, asshole? They occasionally requires vets. You would think so, but I mean, like on Etsy, I haven't found one yet, but they have some amazing patterns on Etsy for all these funky dragons and shit. Oh my god, I want them all. But they're selling these PDFs of these dragons for, $30 sometimes, and it's like, it's a PDF. You don't even have to send me anything. And sometimes it'll say, oh, last one or something. That's like, it's a PDF. How do you run out of a PDF? I don't know if all 3 had feline leukemia, but she does have quite a number of them. I mean, she's constantly, her vet bill is insane. So she's always, trying to get donations for cat food and litter and, of course, the vet bill, which last time I saw it was like $9,000. Because they, need different treatments. They need, like, dental work because apparently feline leukemia causes dental problems. And she did have a rescue dog that was blind and deaf. It was a Cocker Spaniel named Tucker. But he had a great sense of smell, and if she went off someplace with her boyfriend for the weekend, Tucker would stay with her parents, and she would come home, and he knew she was home. He would sniff her out, and he would come running, and he'd be peeing all over the place because he was so excited, jumping all over her because mom was home, and then he ended up getting sick, and I guess his kidneys started shutting down, and she finally had to have them put down. So, and I still don't think she's over that one. her beloved Tucker. Well, she gets it paid down, and then, she'll get a few thousand paid on it or something like that, and then something else happens. And for a while, she's lost maybe one a year or so, but she's lost 3 like this year alone, and it's only June. And it kills her, as it does most of us. As long as my Betty Blep cat is okay. She's got one little cat named Betty that always tends to have the tip of her tongue stuck out, so I call her the Blep cat. So she's Betty Blep cat. I wonder what Dina decided to name the kitten. I know I suggested. What did I suggest? I suggested Princess Venus Bloodletting the Vicious. Apparently she's not going to name it that. Cute little kitty like that should have a real tough name. But cute, because she's called Princess. She's just a Venus Bloodletter, and she's vicious. Okay, she's not vicious yet. She's just a little baby 3-week-old kitty. Yeah, I've got some dogs I've got several pets that their passing just absolutely destroyed me. Like Jitterbug, the one possum that, I don't know where you see it at. It used to be my picture. The one on Santa's lap, that one killed me. I only had him a year. And when I went to Idaho, I had to trust a friend of mine to take care of him because I couldn't take him to Idaho with me. And he died while he was there. And I'm like, did he just get sick or did something happen? Well, different people get attached to different animals. My Matty cat, that one about killed me. All of a sudden, he was losing weight and I couldn't get him to eat as much, and he was still Matty cat. I mean, he would be affectionate, but his way of being affectionate was he would get his little nose right close to your cheek and kind of sniff you and boop his nose against you and then just take a bite out of you. But he had a lot of health problems over the years and had surgeries, and but the sun was coming through the window and I noticed that you can see the light through the membranes of their ears, and I realized it was orange, and I went, oh my god, his liver is failing. So of course the next day I rushed him to the vet, and he had jumped on something and fell off and broken his leg, so I'm just absolutely out of my mind. Well, yeah, I can understand that, Brandon. And so they realized he had liver cancer. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? I don't think any treatment's going to help him. It's pretty advanced. And I'm like, I'm not going to let him suffer. So we had to have him put down, and it just killed me. I mean, it was horrible. And so I had to go home without my Matty cat because they were going to cremate him. And then the next day, I'm on the phone with my auntie in Idaho, and Jet Cat, who was one of Maddie's brothers, comes tearing ass into the bedroom, jumps right into my lap. He's panting really hard. He's breathing really hard. And I'm like, oh, Christ, I've got a steroid for him, Didn't get a chance to get the steroid. He died of a heart attack in my lap. I lost 2 of them in 2 days. And I'm not sure what was, because I had Egypt, who was the mother of the 4 boys that I had. And I think they had like heart murmurs or something. Thunder would throw clots. No, it wasn't Thunder, it was Tadachi. Tadachi would throw clots, and it would paralyze his back legs until the clot passed. And I don't know if you can give cats aspirin or not, but the risk is, if the clot breaks loose, it could go to his lungs or his heart or his brain and kill him. But it happened a few times, but one time it finally did go to his heart and he had a heart attack on my bed and died. And when that happened, Belle, this adorable little long-haired, petite, little pretty little girl cat that had these chocolate brown paws, that was just the most maternal cat. Even after she got fixed, she would still steal kittens. She was really close with Kodachi, and she stood over him poking at him with a paw like, come on, let's go and play. And that just killed me. And my cats, when they would have their kittens, because I got into a problem where I couldn't get cats fixed, and we kept having kittens. My cats would have their kittens on my bed in my armpit. I would wake up smelling something odd, and then I would hear the little meow, 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 meow. And I would carefully go and turn on the light, and I'd look under my arm, and oh shit, I got kittens. And one time I had 4 pregnant females at the same time. I'm going, how am I going to find homes for all these? Oh my god, oh my god, my god. Belle and Boo Boo Kitty would go into labor at the same time and would share a box. Boo Boo Kitty went into labor, so then Belle had to go into labor. But while she was in labor, she went around to the other 2 cats that had already had their kittens and started stealing kittens and putting them in the box with the both of them. And then Coogie Pants, he had been a kitten the previous year. She goes in the living room, and he's bigger than she is now. She grabs him by the scruff of the neck and drags him into the bedroom and tries to get him in the box with them. She was just collecting everybody. And then when Lightning had her kittens, I heard her scream. I was in the kitchen. I heard her scream. I go running in the bedroom, and there's this gray bubble out the back end of her. I'm like, what the hell is that? I went to get a closer look, and that's when the water broke and whoosh, right in my face. I freaked out. I whip off my shirt. I'm wiping my face off. There's a kitten coming. It's Breach. And she is screaming. She's never had kittens before. She's trying to get up and leave. I'm trying to calm her down and stroke her, and I realize the kitten is Breach. So I wait till she gets it just so far out, and I grab it with the now wet shirt, wait for her to have a contraction and pull. Every one of her kittens was Breach. I'm like, you got every one of them backwards? And then she wasn't a very good mother, and luckily I was able to get her fixed after that, so that was the only litter she had. And I started, getting these cats fixed and finding homes for kittens, and finally got the cat population down. Because it's not easy feeding that many cats. Huh? I don't know. I have no idea what you're referencing. I know Cruella de Vil with the 101 Dalmatians. But yeah, I don't know why my cats... I mean, when the first cat that I had that had kittens was Egypt. And I was at the kitchen table, and she comes in, and she's just going, meow, 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 meow. What the hell's wrong with you, cat? I'm like, stop, quiet. She wouldn't stop, so I went to smack her on the butt, and my hand got wet. I'm like, oh my god, water broke, we're having kittens. She would not stay in the basket unless I was right there with her. Yeah, over the years, they've finally, all the ones that I kept have passed. Egypt was one of the last ones, and she was 17. Oh, okay. I thought she had pit bulls. But yeah, finally, I mean, I just got cats fixed so we weren't having kittens all the time and having to find homes for kittens. And of course, it didn't help when I was out in the woods with my dog one day and I heard something in the brush. Somebody had dumped off 3 kittens out in the middle of the woods. So I had to take my dog home because she was trying to get at them. And then I had to go back and get the kittens. And one of them did not want to go with. There's this little gray tabby. And I would manage to get him to come forward. And if I tried to grab him, he'd run back in the bushes. And it was blackberries, sticker bushes. So what I finally did was I coaxed him forward with one hand, put my other hand behind him so that when I tried to grab him with the one hand, he ran back and into my other hand. I grabbed a hold of him, and he tore the fuck out of me. I was scratches and gouges and blood everywhere. And then for the first 2 weeks, when I would go to feed them, he would hide. And since he was so skittish, I named him Mr. Skittles. And eventually he became like my best buddy. He was like a puppy. He followed me everywhere. And if I had to go somewhere for any length of time, like when I went to Idaho and stuff, when I got home, he would meow at me nonstop for days. Like, where the hell have you been? Fuck you, bitch. Left me here with all these other people and these other cats, and what the hell are you talking about, Wit? Yeah, cat scratches are nasty. I'm surprised I don't have scars from that one. But yeah, he would stick to me like glue. He was the only cat. He was a big boy too, but he was the only cat I knew that could sleep in the middle of a bed and stretch out and take up the entire bed. I'm like, screw this, I'm getting a king-size bed. Yeah, you have to clean cat scratches really well. And oddly, the only scratch that I have a scar from is actually from a dirty possum claw. Because Jitterbug had nasty, dirty little claws, because he taught himself how to use the litter box. And he got startled or something and tried to climb, and he dug a claw into my chest, and it kept getting infected no matter how much I cleaned it and put Neosporin and everything on it. And I still have a scar on my chest to this day. Anyway, it's been over 2.5 hours. I should probably get going. My throat's getting scratchy from talking, and I still got stuff to do before tomorrow. But have a lovely evening, everybody. I'm going to go deal with the other stuff I need to deal with. Oh, yeah. Any animal scratches or bites are even worse. Yeah, I had a scar on my lip for a long time because I had a kitten bite me. See you later. Have a good evening. Talk to y'all later. Night.